If you looked at the comments on this event, there's a lot of negativity around Common Core. What's the future of Common Core in Colorado?
Ask her. Good question. So Common Core was came into Colorado in 2009, 2010. I actually was on some of the, one of the committees to write the reading, writing, and communication standards when I worked at the Department of Education. There were meetings all across the state to develop these standards and engaging teachers and just a lot of entities. After that, the Race to the Top money was released, and so it incentivized states to adopt Common Core standards. And so Colorado ended up doing a crosswalk between the standards that had been developed at the state level and then the Common Core standards that had been developed with state input, but also with a lot of interest groups centrally at the federal level. And so, because the sense was there's not that big a difference between what the state had developed and the Common Core standards, and we are incentivized to receive these funds through Race to the Top, why don't we just adopt the Common Core standards? Which the state board did. I was not on the board at that time, and it won on a 4-3 vote. And since then, we've had the Common Core standards. Of course, we call them the Colorado Academic Standards, and 85% of them are centrally written, and the copyright rests with the entities that developed it, and then Colorado can add 15% distinctives, which we did. So the question is, what do we do about that? Well, we're now in the year that we're beginning to review the standards again. So we really are at a kind of a crossroads to determine, are we going to continue that relationship with Common Core, or are we going to have a whole new process to develop a new set of standards? Kind of two sides to that. I would say, having seen Common Core implemented in schools, I don't think it's a path to excellence for Colorado. I think that for some schools it may raise the bar, for others it may actually lower the bar. And I actually talked to a middle school teacher recently. I always love to talk to the teachers. How does it really work for you? And she was a middle school math teacher and actually said, you know, I really think the Common Core is actually a little more rigorous than what we had before. But generally speaking, as I see it implemented, I don't think it's the role of special interest groups and national entities to develop standards for Colorado. I think we need to do that at a state level. Because it opens the paths of influence from groups that may have an agenda or a specific penchant for certain kinds of content. And we really want to do that at the state level, right? We don't really want other folks holding a copyright on our standards, even though it's 85% of them. So what is the future of Common Core? We need to decide as a state what we're going to do, how we're going to go forward. Are we going to uncouple from Common Core and completely rewrite? Are we going to make it an option and say, hey, you've been implementing this for 5 years. If you like it, continue to do so. That's a local district decision. And standards should be guardrails. They shouldn't be very specific and precise because they need to meet the values and the priorities of the district. And so my sense is that the state board will be having very rigorous conversations about that. My sense is that we're a local control state, and I think for us to be coupled with Common Core, given that we don't own the copyright, we can't make changes to it, they can make changes to it, and we can't really influence that, it makes sense for us to do this work as a state and as districts.